My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, it is currently 10:18 a.m. This is documentation speaking to what is federal stalking that the people of the state on Tracy Banks's communication device are going to be shown to be engaging in. The phone call occurring at what is 10, because this is where I'm recording, and the demon that is on the phone is engaging in federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. The entity interfering with that recording, you'll hear audible activity while she's on speakerphone. Tracy Banks is in the apartment filled with engineer light, which you'll see uploaded to the Google Drive, doing so at the apartment where the fake sun is already shown to be rising at 6:33 a.m. and setting at 6:18 p.m., which is a supernatural environment where phone calls are a means of federal stalking, audible activity creation, psychopathic stalking underway by the demon possessed. And as I document, which the demons who are monitoring are aware of that, engage in what is equally unlawful. So not only are the people of the state on Tracy Banks' device, that's Vanita Jenkins, calling to interfere with the monitoring by the preceding demon, that's a female, in reference to what is a vehicle that she bought while she's monitoring me, a psychopath, a demon alike, monitoring the person's daughter. These are both demons that are targeting, and they're engaging in the audible activity creation using communication devices, which are under surveillance, which I've already shown you. These are demons using communication devices to engage in monitoring, which is gang stalking. So while I am recording this, it is not recorded altogether, which is pursuant to federal stalking. These are the same demons that steal my intellectual intellectual property, as though that's going to support the fact that you're not gang stalking or create what the entity seeks to do when you don't have evidence. Just state, oh, they're hallucinating, oh, they're mentally ill. That doesn't work in evidence when you have evidence of it. And not only that, the entity has sought to steal evidence, proving, moreover, that they're engaged in federal stalking and that they are, in fact, demons who are engaging in the system of federal group stalking monitoring, as I'm documenting it. But I want to be clear, this is documentation. So now, since the entity interfered with that recording, which is pursuant to federal stalking that Vanita Jenkins is engaging in, she's calling her phone, 909-890-7160, doing so as the third party that's on the phone who is being recorded. She's talking about buying a new car. Tracy Banks is engaging in criminal defamation, stating that I'm speaking about something, quote, crazy. That's criminal defamation, which is audible activity while she's monitoring. And the pattern of conduct of monitoring is psychopathic. That's the entity engaging in the malicious engagement in the P.O.C. while threatening my life, gang stalking with the police, which you already know, gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport, which you already know, gang stalking with that entity that repeatedly engages in kidnapping, which you also know, and then using what is criminal defamation while you're being documented. That's with the intent to obstruct justice. That is literally psychopathic conduct while the people of the state are gang stalking with her on her device. Now, Vanita Jenkins calls while the entity knows that I'm documenting one third party, and the entity would rather limit it to somebody such as Vanita Jenkins for whatever reason. The entire state is being prosecuted, and the entire apartment complex is being prosecuted. AVANATH Capital Management is being prosecuted. Linda Reyes is going to federal prison. The people of the state, who are documenting, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, such as her son, Eric Corey Spencer, sex offenders who are using communication devices, which are a means of surveillance, also gang stalking in a relevant position, are all being prosecuted simultaneously while I capture this third-party female. And the recording is not on my phone because the entity is engaged in what is monitoring, interfering with that. And so this is documentation of not only the fact that her phone records are going to be used to prosecute, just like every other gang stalker who's on her phone, and the Ontario PD engages in sharing in those elements of monitoring. Daryl Mandy's going to federal prison. Okay, Eric Corey Spencer is going to federal prison. But the entity engages in this while aware of the fact that's the point. It's proof of what is surveillance. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while I am documenting federal stalking. And this is the reason why I started capturing it, is because the demon that lives in the apartment is stalking by coming into the kitchen. That's literally traditional stalking as you're getting to the P.O.C. of monitoring. So you're stalking me as you're following me around inside of the apartment. It's very, very demented. This demon is not interested in making biscuits. This demon is interested in pacing beside me in the apartment where you already know engineered light remains on her ceiling at this hour. It starts behind the TV stand on the wall, goes up above the television on the west wall, then it appears on the ceiling, where then it floats across to the north living room wall over the hallway door, and then, like I documented the other day, it ended up on the east living room wall, this strip of light where I could put my hand up in the air and my shadow of my hand is appearing at a distance away, like the light activity when I'm standing in the shade inside of the apartment and my shadow is appearing, manifesting in the shade when there's no light that would create my shadow when I'm looking outside the patio glass door. That is a covered structure where there's no sunlight that's touching me. That light activity is where she is on her communication device monitoring me with the people of the state, and that demon on the phone knows that she's being monitored. That's why the entity interfered with what is my recording, the audible activity creation, criminal conduct, while the demon possessed used communication devices to engage in the audible activity creation. All right. So this is what the entity is doing, and documented what is in that phone call, which the entity interfered with, is the use of criminally defamatory speech, calling me crazy, referring to me as crazy. While I want to be clear, Vanita Jenkins is living in a hospital. This is a witch also related to me, gang stalking me like Eric Corey Spencer my entire life, and is doing so while calling in order to replace the other third party female. 909-890-7160 is the third party, and the phone records are going to be used to prosecute the people of the state for targeting me inside of a private space with the state, with the people of the state, and the same defendants are going to federal prison for it. That includes Linda Reyes and every other AVANATH employee. That includes the demons in units 33 through 64. And that's also relevant to what is the criminal interference with the documentation, the investigation of that entity. The government's not going to target you in order to murder and kidnap you and then stop you from exposing, from blowing the whistle by engaging in what is federal stalking, theft of intellectual property, which is what the government has already committed. Okay, which is, by the way, not stopping the case. It's going to enhance the terms in federal prison. It's going to enhance the terms in mental asylums. It's going to be the punctuating point regarding the fact of not only my evidence proving surveillance and a surveillance system that I'm subject to, and further into trying to defame and murder me ultimately, while they are engaging in surveillance in order to steal, interfere with the documentation, which is an investigation of the corrupt government. It is the P.O.C, the evidence of it. It's happening in the kitchen. So this is audible activity that's on her. So in other words, my point is the phone records themselves, and remember Metro, T-Mobile, these are third parties, and the entity that is gang stalking, monitoring using communication devices that produces a phone record, the federal government is aware of and is going to produce that evidence. All of the people of the state on the communication device are monitoring with this same demon that's engaging what is name calling, because her satanic means of trying to target me has been exposed. And this is somebody that's engaging in an obsession with me, obsession with my genitalia, obsession with people who are in my social circle, and engaging in what is merely defamation because of the fact that you're an exposed demon, an exposed witch that worships Satan, and you wanted to act like you're some sort of prophet and you're not. But anyway, the entities engaged in this P.O.C. and that level of malice is what I want to expose. Seeking to interfere with the operation of my communication device is the entity that's engaging in that with impunity and the intent to obstruct justice. Okay, so that's what's relevant with regard to the people of the state that are on that communication device, which phone records would substantiate. But also the federal government that's investigating, that's watching in real time, is also where the phone call that's used to monitor me as I break down what the demons are doing as they use communication devices. And they're also doing so even as blood relatives in the private space while I'm physically indisposed, engaging in private activity. And that is by definition incest, incestuous, sexually perverted, and also highly psychopathic, while then you engage in what is trying to call names of the person that you're stalking in a bathroom. It is currently 10:26 a.m. This is P.O.C. on the entity sounding amplified audible activity, which is why I started recording in the first place. And the demons that know that they're being documented and they're psychopathic while acting like they are minding their business. The fact that they engage in federal stalking, trying to remove the evidence, is evidence of their mental illness. Mental illness, which is psychopathic. Not somebody that's mentally sick, such that they don't know what they're doing, and they're just, I'm just so that I don't know that I'm gang. No. They're gang stalking, and the malicious pattern of conduct of demons is to engage in the P.O.C. with a level of anonymity, such as a coward keeping their back to you while you see the fake sun over your head, while you see engineer light and multiple shadows above your head all around your person, and that demon keeps their back to you. You are stalking, and everyone else can clearly see that you're stalking and that you're a demon, and that supernatural environment is the proof of it. And it doesn't change while you're inside of the apartment. In fact, the evidence is already surrounding the demon that's using a communication device, resorting to criminal defamation because they're being documented. That's speaking to malice, and that's maniacal. That's diabolical malice. Okay, shared by gang stalking relatives, shared by gang stalking strangers, which is an oxymoron, because those who are gang stalking are not actually strangers. They know exactly who you are, and you are proving their knowledge based on the specific environment that remains around you. And then you are going to prosecute for the audible activity that's created, such as using words such as, quote, crazy, while you're gang stalking. You're going to federal prison for that. That's criminal defamation. And everybody in units 33 to 64 are sharing in that documented act of criminal defamation, where the entity sought to erase that record. So I'm re-recording, and I'm making note of the criminal defamation that's underway while I'm documenting enforcing my rights, while the entity is acting further into murder and kidnapping. Still gang stalking with a tremendous amount of delusion, as though you are not going to suffer consequences for it, and the consequences are severe. All right, it is currently 10:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, the people of the state demonstrating severe mental instability, severe mental illness, which is a threat to the public. This criminal conduct that I'm documenting is going to be relevant to the diagnosis of the gang stalkers who are targeting at Woodside Senior Apartments, and it includes Tracy Banks, 9HUZ740, and gang stalking with the people of the state. 11:02 a.m., the entity stalking with amplification of audible noise in the kitchen area, and this is where the fake sun rises and sets, and this is where that identifying element to the pattern of conduct, where the entire complex, meaning the entire city, the local government, Paul Leon, and every function of the city of Ontario is gang stalking me and my vagina, whatever is concerning my vagina inside of the bathroom, inside of the same apartment. The demon that you can see crossing path, the same one that you see gang stalking me with his son, where I'm documenting him stalking in the path on the staircase in the evening where the fake sun is over the same position it was at 12 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. And to be specific, let me remind you about the screenshots that I provided to you, where you are witnessing the demon possessed being proven to be sex offenders and being proven to be mentally ill psychopaths who are gang stalking in a manner that's not supposed to be suspected or proven. And the criminal pattern of conduct is going to be used to diagnose this particular sex offender who was still targeting me, and doing so while he is crossing path, walking to unit number 41, gang stalking me with minor children, engaging in the perpetual sex offense with minor children, engaging in psychological torture with minor children, engaging in what is terrorism, domestic terrorism with minor children, engaging in what is ongoing harassment with the intent to obstruct justice while in custody of minor children while he is crossing path. This is the entity that's gang stalking by unit 41. As I open the patio glass door, the demon is crossing path in engineered light. The cloudy day is no deviation from the pattern of stalking with light. This is the referred to when you see the light, my shadow, for example, manifesting in the shade, when you see the same exact pattern of engineer light framing the front door, because that's that sunlight that's on her ceiling and along the easel room wall behind the front door. And it's also not cloudy, shaded sunlight that's on the inside of the apartment in the same position that it is when the fake sun is shining. This demon in unit number 41 is captured under the fake sun, stalking in the path as a place of residence, and is also a violent sex offender who is literally living with his baby's mother while stalking and engaging in the sex offense of monitoring another woman's vagina, and doing so obsessively even while I am documenting the fact that he's a gross sex offender. And his girlfriend are both sexually monitoring me and also engaging what is stalking me by residents. And they are in the unit that is associated with the employee in Unit 41. All of the adults in that unit are going to mental asylums in particular. They're gang stalking while the entity is in the kitchen, maintaining what is amplified noise, stalking with amplified noise. The amplification is demonic. The impossible light activity is demonic. The fake sun that remains over the building is demonic, and these are demons who are stalking. So those particular demons who are gang stalking under the fake sun that I'm capturing over me at 12:52 in the afternoon on May 25th, 2025, and I'm reminding you about the fake sun being over me at 4:53 over the same exact sidewalk while you're looking at the fake sun engaging in the pattern of rising on the east side, setting on the west side of Unit 51 as I document the specific environment. This demon with what is license plate 9ZCZ059 is stalking as you are identifying that environment and the simultaneous presence in the path as I open up the patio glass door blinds, in other words, and this demon is engaging in what is crossing path pursuant to what is underway as a whole entity. He is pacing at engineered light. This is what the demons in units 49 through 64 and 33 through 48 are all going to prison for. They're all stalking together, and they're going to prison for engaging in this systematic means of stalking in the specific environment where engineer light is inside of this apartment where Tracy Banks is on her communication device, stalking, gang stalking, harassing with the people of the state on that communication device. And then as I recorded, the demons that are indeed engaged in federal stalking, monitoring on my device, interfering with that recording, but I have the images of where she's on the phone. So you'll see the communication device in operation. You'll see her stalking the path, light activity while opening up the refrigerator door. You will see what is the ongoing environment where you're looking at it every other day. So it's not changing, and the demon is pacing using a communication device as a means of audible activity and literally stalking me as I go into the kitchen and stalk with amplified noise. So the demon follows, and you're following by preparing biscuits in the oven while you're pacing back and forth like a psychopath who then engages in what I'm documenting, quote, crazy, is what is a criminally defamatory epithet which the entity is being prosecuted for, including the demon stalking in the path in Unit 41, license 9CZC059, who is stalking. You'll see him crossing path and walking to Unit 41 while his whole focus is me. And that focal point as myself is proven through the maintenance of an environment that is supernatural. That light activity, that documentation of the fake sun, the stalking with amplified noise inside of the building, and the demons are doing so while their mental illness is put at the forefront of their individualized prosecution and the removal of children that are in the custody of the people of the state, and their inevitable and mandated confinement in prison and mental asylums. So I want to make sure that I'm documenting. It's currently 11:10 a.m. The entity is stalking with impossible light inside of the apartment, and the manner in which I'm documenting, so it rapidly vacillates from a cloudy day, and the engineer light remains, and then the engineer light appears and disappears. The fake sun, again, appears and disappears. It is equally fake. It is impossible that the natural environment is what I'm documenting in Los Angeles, while you're looking at that same supernatural phenomenon of the sun rising and setting at my apartment in Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, specifically at that apartment complex, over me, rising over me, setting at that apartment complex. And then you have the entity that's doing the same pattern in the specific environment. Linda Reyes is indeed going to federal prison while her co-defendants are accumulating federal charges in real time. Never mind the fact that it's a holiday. Clearly the pattern of conduct is underway on a holiday, and you are being documented as a gang stalker at your place of employment, regardless of your work schedule, regardless of any time off, regardless of any vacation, regardless of your testimony in court regarding what it is that you were doing on a particular day. Like you took a break and you went to El Pollo Loco and then you came back, you're going to federal prison. I'm documenting you. Your impunity is why you're going to federal prison. And impunity is noted where you are working at a crime scene where the target individual is never supposed to even be able to prove that you're targeting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That's why Linda Reyes is going to federal prison. And she is the entity that is pacing outside of this apartment. She is the entity that is pacing inside of this apartment. She is the entity that's criminally defaming me while I'm documenting her inside of this apartment. She's the entity that's gang stalked by planes and helicopters with the public, the demon-possessed entity, the city, the people of the state that are engaging in surveillance together, pacing around this apartment complex and coming onto the grounds. I'm documenting Linda Reyes on a ceaseless basis while she is targeting me on a ceaseless basis. She's going to federal prison. That's going to be the legal analysis for every other gang stalker at Woodside Senior Apartments, as this entire apartment complex is going to be prosecuted comprehensively. And it is the prosecution of the state as well. It is 11:12 a.m. This is P.O.C. stalking with amplified audible activity. Again, this is ongoing harassment, criminal interference with quiet enjoyment, and the psychopath that is, again, the defendant whose name is on the lease of this apartment, who is going to a mental asylum for gang stalking your relatives, engaging in domestic terrorism against your friends, against your relatives, against your coworkers, those who you have a relationship with. Those domestic terrorists in the they're going to federal prison. All right, and this is the template. You're understanding how people in the position of Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks, Tommy Allen Banks, Jason Isaac Phillips, Shanita Ramaya McClain, Anthony Jawan Kennedy, the people of the state whose name you know, you could readily read off. You used to hang out with them, talk to them, and they were acting in furtherance of your harm. Unbeknownst to you, they're going to prison for that. They are going to prison. It's domestic terrorism. It is currently 11:13 a.m. Engineer light is on the ceiling, so I'm going to go ahead and capture that. It's 11:13 a.m. Okay, I went on ahead and captured that. I'm going to include it in the podcast so that you have an ongoing narration in real time when I'm narrating, and what you're able to visually witness with regard to the pictures that are captured. And remember, the pattern of conduct does not exist in a vacuum, meaning it doesn't solely exist today. This is what is sharing the pattern of conduct with what they're doing in Los Angeles at the same time of year. It's a comprehensive prosecution of the state of California. Remember, at the same time of year, daylight savings time, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the sun is rising over Courtyard by Marriott off of Dean Martin. And I also came from California in Arcadia, where the sun is never going to be over Woodside, and never under any circumstances, no matter where the fake sun is positioned, is sunlight going to appear on the ceiling inside of this apartment. And also the amplified audible activity is speaking to what is necessarily coexisting with that supernatural phenomenon, which is serially occurring. And that is the pattern of conduct. Where you have amplification, you also will have audible activity, light activity and relevant positioning. You don't have the fake sun absent the remaining pattern of conduct, meaning stalking with light, stalking with noise, and stalking in the path. And you are clearly stalking under the fake sun, and I'm documenting that. So you're looking at the real-time modification, if you will, and I put that in air quotes because it's only a modification with regard to the fake sun being covered up and then it being unveiled. And where do you see it unveiled? Right over my head as I'm out at the front door. And this is where the same front door where you see the fake sun at 6:33 in the morning, and it's over the same apartment building where you see the fake sun at 6:18 in the evening, and it's the same apartment building at 5:45 in the evening, and it's over the same apartment building at 3:37 in the afternoon, and it's over the same apartment building. That's where the entity is stalking with light and stalking with amplified noise. Daryl J. Carter, AVANATH Capital Management, the employees of AVANATH work at Woodside, the people of the state in units 33 through 64, the people of the state in all 144 units, the state of California, the city of Ontario, the mayor, the fire department, the police department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the state itself, because I've documented outside of Ontario, is being prosecuted. Okay, but those inside of this building and the adjacent building, they're going to prison. It's currently 11:16 a.m. and you're denoting, my documentation, my images are denoting the vacillation of a supernatural environment. It's not even the natural environment. As I speak, as I move, as I live, as I sleep and dream, as I document anything, as I observe anything, the environment around me, which is demonic, pursuant to demons who are monitoring me, adjusts accordingly. It also means whereby the entity is threatening. You are threatening with impossible light. As I document state actor Alan D. WAPNER, I am threatened as a matter of documentation as well, which is relevant to how the state and the entity and government actors like Alan D. WAPNER are going to be treated under federal law. I am threatened with regard to psychological torture by stalking me with impossible light while you're monitoring, and the government is doing that in order to murder and kidnapping you via criminal defamation. It is 11:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. on Monday, May 26, 2025.